for 15 minutes. Today we have Dilys, Francis, and Suso. We're going to be continuing the conversation on chapter 19, spiritual levels. I'm going to kick off by saying this is a very detailed or compacted concept that this chapter contained within it. From my perspective, I feel that this is creation described from the beginning to the end, because ultimately it started off telling us about the four levels of creation, or the four elements of creation, which we covered last week. But now we also know that the creator created four levels of worlds, depending on how much light is contained within the space, as it was withdrawing light from itself. And we are now occupying this empty space, which is Asia, which has absolutely no knowledge that there is a creator that exists. But we need to kind of come upward into the inorganic state, which is the spiritual level, where we reveal the creator by removing the lens, the egoistic lens that blocks our understanding of who the creator is or its existence. So for me, I picked up from there, and then I suddenly realized, okay, fine, okay, we know now there are these four levels, but then we also know the impure forces. So perhaps we could start conversing about the impure forces, because what is important for us to understand is that every step of the way, when we are trying to develop spiritually, move upwards towards the creator, we will encounter challenges. And very often, this is the dilemma that humanity are faced with. They don't understand that actually the challenges that we're faced with is normal. And the only way out of it is to rise up in faith. And we usually lament about these challenges. We say, "Oh well, what's going on?" and all the rest of it. We talk about it, we lament about it, we get sorrowful about it, and we get stuck with it, and we don't move forward. When in fact, it's a very system that the Creator has devised for us to move forward. And this is what is brilliant about this chapter, because Dr. Lightman articulated it so well that I feel as if you could go around now understanding the world better than I did when I didn't read this chapter. Francis?
Yeah, thank you, Sheila. That's a great introduction. Yeah, because continuing from where you left off, the impure and the pure world. It is easy for one to think that you look at the world today and all the problems that are unfolding, and to think, oh, it's the devil who is doing this, it's this that is doing that, right? And if you look on social media, people have shared so many things about who is causing what and who is this person. I don't want to mention names, but it's this book, this chapter, Dr. Lightman educates us that from the individual through families, right, to countries, through nations, um, everything is planned. There's no accident here. And I look at it as you hold an object in front of a mirror. You see the mirror image, right? The pure force, the real human being standing in front of a mirror, right? Is the pure force. For example, I'll use it as an example. And the image you see, example, I'll call it impure force, but it's the same, right? In other words, we have two mirror, the image itself, the object, and its a mirror image. And he's designed it in such a way that he uses what we call in the impure force to push us from behind and even to pull us from in front towards him, so that eventually man will end up in the place where he predetermined us to be eventually. So there is nothing like in before I got to this wisdom, we talk about Satan and other forces, the devil and whatever. But then you realize that when you go back to the beginning of the chapter, again, Dr. Lightman says that all these variables, he operates the variables from within us. So the impure forces, whatever, is all installed within man, and the Creator uses it to drive us from the level of the individual all the way to nations and countries and whatever, families, bring us towards the one unique goal to become like Him. Delis?
So, for me to clarify it even further or simplify it, we've spoken about the worlds, right? These different phases. And as we start to relate more to the Creator, we move back up so that we finally are acting in such a way to be like the Creator, and that gets us to that level of absolute in the pure worlds. Lo and behold, the Creator forms, it says there's actually two forces at play in this world, the impure and the pure. The pure, therefore, makes us relate to the Creator in a loving fashion as we move forward. The impure forces sits there, and it's actually within us, and when we look around us, we say, oh my God, there's nothing going on here. There's no God. There's nothing. There's no pattern. There's no plan. Everything is just happening randomly. It's complete chaos. And look at the suffering. It is terrible. Now, that whole picture that I've just given you there, that's the impure forces pleasantly playing in our minds. And so it happens day by day, every moment of the day. And I think that's why, in certain, well, many of us have come from that perspective. When you wake up in the morning, you have to choose. How do you view the day ahead? Is it like, okay, I'm focusing, there's a rationale, there's a program, I'm going to be part towards the Creator, towards love? Or do you just get up and say, okay, well, as an animal, I'm going through the day and just hoping for the best? This battle is ongoing every step of the way. And I love the part in the book where it says, chapter where it says, it's like being on a rail. You have these two lines and it takes you forward. And the final destination is to be one once again with the Creator. And what I mean by that is, Creator is a force of giving. So therefore, we have to choose all the time to be in a force of giving. And then they go forward with that. Just to recap, that all of this is based on a desire. So our desire is either towards this egoism, impure forces, or towards altruism, the good, pure force. And it talks about our essence. Our essence, our soul starts to develop when we move towards this desire towards the Creator. And they mention the word Israel, which means actually straight to the Creator. I leave it over to you, Thu. Thuso just dropped. I leave it over to you, Sheila.
Indeed. Okay. Okay. I wasn't. I was expecting to. So I wasn't expecting to speak. But the Creator has a way. We have to hold the intention. The Creator has a way of doing whatever needs to be done. Um, yes. When it comes down to these two forces, it did say, the book says very clearly, it's like, consider it as a step. That you can't go to the top without the left foot. It's just impossible. It's, you were saying, you need the left and the right. And for me, the beauty of this chapter is this. And it's so beautiful to know that actually this thing that we used to call Satan is even not Satan. It's actually part of creation. And I begin to wonder, you call it Satan because you don't understand what it's doing for you. And I have a sneaky feeling Satan is going to be at the end waiting for us to say, congratulations, you made it. I played so many tricks on you, but you made it in the end anyway. And then you're going to look at the damn thing and say, really? At the time, I really think you were a devil, but actually, now I understand you were my friend. Because the truth is, it does say that if we don't have enough desire for the pleasure that we miss, and that it talks about the clipot, that the clipot is actually, it creates insatiable desire for pleasure. And without it, we will not grow, because it is that very purpose that the creator created the clipboard for, to give us this desire for the pleasure and all this egoistic feeling, to the point where we get to the point where we say we can't deal with this anymore. We need help. And now we get to this point where we recognize that actually we've used the egoistic tendency to the point where it is getting in the way and we cannot deal with it anymore. Now the creator has to come in and begin to help us, because that's the point we usually call on the creator, because when we give up on ourselves. But you can even write a book now on the negative force, that actually the negative force, in as much as it is strain on our desires because we don't know how to use it. When we know how to use it, you begin to understand even what I'm pretty sure we'll get there in the end, in the book anyway, how to actually respond to negative forces. I'm going to hand over to you again, Francis.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you introduced the word clay pot. The clay pot, Sheila, means the shells, the peels. It's like you take an orange, there's a shell. Until the orange is ready to be eaten, the shell keeps it, it protects it, it preserves it, it allows it for the sun to shine on it, and all the sugars to be formed in it. Until when that orange is ready to be peeled, you take off the peels. So as she said, the creator has designed it so beautifully that what we used to call Satan, I mean, take me away and there's no Satan. There's this right inside me, right? And what Delis described as egotistical force or egoism is right inside me. It's the same thing. So this is a very practical chapter, yet profound, really profound. It summarizes the entirety, the sum total of the purpose of creation and how creation is being dragged, kicking and screaming all the way back to the creator. But he does it in such a beautiful way that is a game. You can only describe it as the game of the creator. He plays this game. And as Sheila said, eventually we will come and see him, when we merge with him, when we get into absolute and merge with him, that we are connected to him. We are actually become part of him and like him where we used to be. Then the penny will drop, the curtain will fall, and that will be the end of the show, the performance. But until then, he uses these forces to drive us and to pull us towards him. The list.
Yeah, brilliant chapter. I'm looking at the time, so I'm going to speak as fast as I can. So I suddenly had this image. Why I suddenly wanted to laugh, as you could see, was I suddenly had this image of the railway track. If there's only one, if there's only one line, you don't have the other part, then you're going to be going in circles, So really, you do need this, that you mentioned the shell, or you need this other side so that it keeps you on the straight and narrow towards the goal. Right? So as soon as you see that, oh, this is where you're at, how am I going to correct my path? But it starts in the chapter. In the chapter it says, to start on this journey, on the spiritual path, it is necessary. 4 things. You must perceive that your present state is unbearable. And guess what? In this world today, we're looking at it and thinking it's a little bit uncomfortable. 2, feel at least to some extent that the Creator exists. 3, feel that we depend on him. And number 4, recognize that only the Creator can help you. So with that particular 4 points in that you hold on to, there you have a direction to go. So I think with that, over to you, Sheila.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up so that we keep within the 15 minutes. So when we look at the entire chapter, Dr. Lightman has clearly articulated to us that what the Creator created is a world for us to discover the nature of the Creator itself. The Creator created a world in which we ultimately have to return back to this inorganic spiritual world. In other words, we need to rid ourselves of the egoistic qualities and reach the state of love. And with that, we will continue next week. And I want to say thank you to the panel today, and we shall see you all next week.